next up is an extremely distinguished gentleman who has over 30 years of experience in strategy, turnaround, and transformation of organizations across 3 continents in areas such as petrochemicals, chemicals, cement, and fertilizers. He has also been awarded the Prince of Wales Medal for his efforts for the flood victims in 2010, and is also a recipient of the Sitara-e-Imtiaz in 2022 for his contribution towards public service and social welfare. I would now like to invite Mr. Waqar Ahmed Malik, the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of the 4G Foundation. Please give him a huge round of applause.
Assalamu alaikum ji, ladies and gentlemen. I'm thrilled to be here with all of you today, and I'm extremely privileged to be invited by PSTD. I've been a member for the last 35 years with them. But I'm very excited to see young people here, aspiring CEOs, people who contribute so much through HR to the strategy. So I thought about what should I do today. I could have spoken the topic, but I thought there is something that I can give back from this podium today to my HR colleagues here. Some of my colleagues are from my ex-company, from my current company, and it's just amazing to see the family coming together today. So get your energy together, get yourself energized, because I thought the best way is to tell you a story. And how does HR, strategy, financial discipline comes together to create value creation. At the end of the day, why we go to work, why we go and work somewhere is obviously personal development. That should be foremost. But at the same time, if you're working for someone, or if you're working for your own self, you want to create value, yes? So how do you create value is important, and this story is about value creation. And of course, there is a lot to say about HR and other things. So this story, you've already heard about what 4G Foundation does, but I'll just start with the first slide. Some of it is just a repeat, so I won't spend too much time, and I'll get to the guts of it. So this is our vision. As you know, we are a socially hybrid enterprise. And it was basically formed to promote the ex-servicemen, and now it's open to the civilians. And we want to do it through health and education. So one of the reasons I decided when I was invited to come and become the managing director was not to do with the investments that I was interested in to do something. It was more about giving back after 40 years of my work to do something on welfare. And that really attracted me. And I think you've seen in the video some of the things that are being done. And how do we generate our resources or income? Because this, we spend about almost $5 million a month on welfare. This is on education, this is on health side. I'll explain that to you. These are generated from our own income. We do not get any assistance from anybody. Neither can we give out our dividends out to anyone, because we are incorporated under the Endowments Act. So it's a charity. So we have to, I may be MD, but I'm one of the trustees there who have to take care of the resources that are generated and how they are applied for welfare. Just some key facts. This has got a large footprint in the country. We pay probably the largest taxpayer in the country, 182 billion per annum. We paid something like 1 trillion since 2015. 10 million beneficiaries is the canvas that is out there. 1.2 million patients get treated. Almost 3 million patients get treated every year. That's a huge number. And 27,000 employees in this group, of which 3/4 are civilians. The welfare spend you already know, and we support about 72,000 students. So on the left, as you know, but how do we generate our income? So these are social investments. These are social investments because they are also in line with the economic development of Pakistan. We just don't go and do any investments. We have to see, yes, it has to make a difference to our welfare. How do we generate our resources? But at the same time, what does it do to the national economy? So these are well thought out investments. And I must give credit to my predecessors, how this whole thing was built. I'll explain a bit later. And I'm extremely privileged that I have been invited to head this place. Sponsors made a decision to change the way it was being run. And I think I must give credit to their foresight. So what do? We get into food self-sufficiency. We are trying to solving the problem of Pakistan in food self-sufficiency. I'll explain later. The nutritional needs of the population, financial inclusivity, the energy security of the country, and of course, infrastructure development. A brief history, I think you've seen in the movie, starting from 1954, these funds were just left with the government when the British left. The government decided to give it to the army, and instead of distributing that, which they did in India, they decided to make an endowment. So this, can I go back? Yeah, so we didn't distribute, we made an endowment. And today, we started with 1 or 2 investments. Today, we've got 20 investments. And we are spending about $50 million per annum on health and education. Our footprint is quite diverse. So this is what we manage across Pakistan. This is, would be almost, this is a big span. This is the footprint on education. You don't need to read, just get a sense of what we do. So what was the challenge? I've simplified it on the welfare side. We just didn't have enough income to support our revenue footprint, and we were kind of declining. This is what the situation was at that time. And there was minimal parenting. I don't know if you know this word, parenting of the investments and of the welfare. So this was an endemic issue, which in your own parlance, which you see is the headquarter role was missing or was not effective. Yes? What were the group level strategic challenges? Of course, I always say that, and that is, I'm going to dwell on that. Strategy. You have a vision, but you need to have a strategy. Communication. You've got to communicate. People must know why they come to work in the morning. Performance management. This is integral part of value creation. And of course, the reward structure. Reward structures and performance management doesn't sit outside in the box. It has to have a linkage back to the strategy. Then teamwork, which is more like silos in your own thing. That was an issue. Indecisiveness. One thing is important in business. You will fail, but decide. Decide, decide, and decide. And then, of course, the effectiveness of the group functions at the headquarters. Thank you. Next one. So across our portfolio and welfare, of course, the performance wasn't matching to where our competition was. We had missed a lot of growth opportunities. And of course, the cost base was bloated. And as a result of all that, there was a very poor dividend flow, which of course was affecting not enough income getting into the headquarters. Remember, 90% of the income that comes from our investments are listed companies. We only own about 45%, the rest is public. So when we increase the dividend flow, the public benefits. So this is important. Last year, I think if I correct it, we paid something like 44 billion as dividends. The entire group after the listed companies to the public. So half of it comes to me, half of it. So that had whittled down. Portfolio management, you got investments, you got welfare, you got to manage this. This is about capital allocation. You can call my role not as an MD, but as a capital allocator. And of course, stewarding that capital through the businesses, through the welfare, to make sure the welfare impacts, and in the businesses, that capital works to create value. It's not an easy task when you're allocating capital, when there are 20 people on your door and said, I want to do this and I want to do that. There has to be a method to this madness. And then quality of the welfare and outreach. We were kind of just spending and spending on welfare without outcomes. So strategy around that. How do you get value for money? And then, of course, this is important. Nothing works if you don't have this, the financial discipline. So this is really a story which I can tell you is about transformation and what were the outcomes after 3.5 years and how. So what did we do? We focused on governance. And I'm going to explain what it's a very used term by everyone, governance, but what does it actually mean? It's got a lot of meaning around and diversity when you say governance. Governance, essentially, to me, at the board level, is leadership. Your leadership at the board level is the governance that starts everything. Your selection of the CEO and your top team decides your governance culture. Strategy is your ambition. What do you want to do? I'm not going to teach strategy, but this is actually the pivot. You've got to have a strategy underneath your vision. And there's a process by which the strategy comes. And of course, this is then reflective of the quality of people that work in your organization. And hence, HR has a role. HR has a role. It doesn't sit outside. People who are in HR must know the company's strategy inside. They have a voice at the top table. When a strategy is finalized or the contours, there has to be an HR strategy. How are you going to do this? And how are you going to reward your people? So a lot of times I've seen in companies, these things are lying outside. So there's no such thing as lying outside. There has to be a singular approach. We want to create value. How do we create value, which is strategy? What resources do we need, which is whatever, plant and machine. But more important thing are your people. If you were to ask me, what bothers you every day? It's not my business. It's not what profits I make. I only have one challenge. People, 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 succession, succession, and succession. You get this equation right, because you can buy strategy, you can buy it, get consultants, etc. They can all rally around you. But you can't get, if you don't have the right talent, there's an issue in the company and the culture. And that decides this middle one is, what is the culture you want to operate in the country? Again, culture doesn't sit outside. You decide when your strategy, what are the values? Those values have to drive your strategy, your behaviors. So its behaviors in an organization are the most important thing. And culture takes, I can tell you, culture can take decades to build up. And it can take few days to destroy it. And that's why once you have honed on that and the HR people and the CEOs know this is my culture, you then decide what kind of a person I want to onboard. See what I mean? So this is important. And then, of course, the people I've talked about, and then this thing then comes after all these things. What is the growth agenda? And the processes that you use must have operational excellence. That is really, if you can get this around, is really what drives value. Okay, let me explain a little bit about governance. These are all the things that we did. Governance, as I said, starts at leadership level. It's the board's agenda is very important. That conversation on the board is important, and the leadership style, what you exhibit from the chair to the, so important thing, there's another learning, the type of people you pick up on your boards. Because remember, that is really the body that's going to do the strategy, that's going to be the HR strategy, technology strategy. Who are these people? And I found in Pakistan a lot of old boy network boards. People don't understand if this is the strategy, what kind of a skill set I need to be brought on my board. Right, so this is important. I just want to dwell. So when I am the first civilian after 70 years to head this organization, so I didn't have any kind of background, and we also decided to change all our company CEOs to civilians. Some are not, but so this was the most important thing because I had a task to transform. Each of the CEOs of all the listed companies and big companies, I handpicked myself. This is very, very, very important. Over the years, my experience, my network in Pakistan, yes, I used a headhunter, which we normally do, and then delegate that, but I was hands-on approach to pick up each of my CEOs, and there was a matrix I used. Look, business one, what does it need today? Business two, what are the things that this business needs to kickstart growth and dividends? So each one of them had different issues. And therefore, I started hunting for talent across Pakistan. I went to London as well. I picked one on the golf course. I wasn't on the golf course in London, but somebody rang me. Here's a chap. So this is very, very important. The amount of time you spend picking up